it just really worked out quite well.
It actually has, but you know, if there is any sort of American lycanthropy, it actually is in Louisiana. It's French. Louisiana is the French culture.
That's right.
And there was a very good series by a guy named Don Davidson, whom you may not have known. He's a professor. Actually, believe it or not, I think he's a professor in Memphis. And he wrote a really good series of books quite a while ago about a Louisiana medical examiner. Wonderful books. And also a detective who was big on food. So it was sort of like Paul Bocuse, you know, meets, or now is that the Louisiana guy, the Chez Paul restaurant guy in Louisiana? There's some guy in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I think I don't remember if it's Bocuse, probably
I'm not.
not.
A big foodie, so.
Okay, well, it's the Cajun Paul, whatever his name is. Anyway, he was kind of a cross between those. But one of the books was really about lycanthropy or werewolf disease as an actual disease that has genetic roots in French.
Oh, that's so interesting.
In French stock. And, you know, the sort of idea was if there are any people actually suffering from lycanthropy as a disease, i.e. people who, you know, kind of turn into werewolves or mimic all that, Louisiana's where they run. So I thought you might have actually done it from...
No, I just did it for fun. I didn't know that, but that's very interesting.
I'll see if I can scare you up a copy
of
which book it was by Davidson. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. And then I looked up a lot of stuff and saw that there has always been this kind of rumor in France about lycanthropes, as they call them. And of course, New Orleans is, you know, Louisiana is the French part of America.
Right.
To a great degree. So, well, here I was giving you all this credit.
No, I wish I had earned it, but I didn't.
Well, you're an honest author. There we are. So you're wandering around in northern Louisiana. You made a side trip to Dallas. Was that in the third book, Living Dead in Dallas? Which one is that?
That was the second book,
was it second?
I think. And then we went to the fictional city of Rhodes, which is very similar to Chicago, but without all the one-way streets, in Altogether Dead.
Okay.
So we've taken some side trips.
Right. But now you're back. What is the town that you are writing about in Louisiana?
Bon Temps, Louisiana.
Good times.
Good times.
As, let's say, les bon temps roulés.
Yeah. So Bon Temps is a typical small town.
Right. You do gravitate to them, don't you? Even Lawrencetown was sort of a small town in Georgia.
It was getting engulfed, but it was still a small town.
Right.
But Bon Temps is really a small town, and it's got a good bar or two.
Which is where Suki works,
Which is where Suki works at Merlotte's bar, and her boss is a true were. He can change into anything. He's not just a werewolf.
Okay. Oh, you mean he's a shapeshifter into whatever animal he wants?
Yeah, he is a true shapeshifter. Though he most often just changes into, let's see, a golden retriever.
I didn't realize there was this nice distinction between weres and werewolves.
Well, see, this is my world.
Okay.
So
well, hey, it's legitimate for you.
And then there are other were creatures, but the ones who call themselves were with a capital W are the werewolves, because they're the most numerous and they're the most aggressive.
Okay, and they run in packs and help an alpha leader and all that stuff?
They do.
And Suki is what? What's her special talent?
Well, she's a telepath. And that is a really horrible, horrible attribute. I thought, what is the very worst thing you could think of? I thought, to know what other people really think of you.
That would be pretty ugly, wouldn't it?
It would be horrible,
yeah.
Horrible. And it would really kill almost any dating relationship you could establish.
Hence Bill the Vampire. Already dead.
So, yeah, so of course she can't read vampire minds, so they're excellent companions for her.
Why can't she read vampire minds?
They're dead. They're dead. Their brain cells aren't rattling around like people's do, giving off the vibrations that she can read. So they're very restful companions for her. The words are almost as good. She can't distinguish thoughts with much clarity from words. She can get an emotion in general, but not the clarity of thought that she picks up from regular human beings.
What about witches? The same thing?
No, she can read witches too, unless they're very, very powerful.
So with Octavia and Amelia in this new book, she can actually tell what they're thinking?
She can.
Why did you decide to have Octavia speak in Latin? That's sort of a challenge.
Well, it just seemed traditional, and Octavia is a very traditional woman, though she comes from a very mixed magical background. But I thought Octavia should speak this spell in Latin. It just seemed classical to me.
Well, it works very well. I was just sort of surprised. I thought maybe, French. We're in Louisiana, but what the hell?
It was really hard to track down someone who could give me the correct Latin usage for that, but I finally tracked down this wonderful woman named Anastasia Luetke who was very, very kind and went to tremendous trouble to get everything right.
Well, I think it lends a certain authenticity to, Octavia's deals in the book. Anyway, Bill becomes history after a while. Is that right? Bill the vampire? Or has he just disappeared and we're not sure?
He's in the book, but he's not front and center the way he was because he betrayed her a couple of books ago, and
right.
And she's not going to forgive and forget in any big hurry, and she shouldn't really.
So, does she have a new romantic interest?
She does. She has a couple. She has a choice. She's been dating Quinn, the Were-Tiger. Don't laugh. I can see you trying not to laugh.
Images are coming to me.
I know. Well, they're all true. She's been dating Quinn the Were-Tiger, but that's going to take a turn for the worse because Quinn's mother is just nuts, and he has family obligations. But
and tigers, yeah, I mean, they're not loyal.
Well, he might be, but I don't think she's going to give him the chance. And of course, she has had a fling with Eric the vampire.
Ooh, and who is Eric the vampire?
He is Bill's boss.
That's what I thought.
He is Bill's boss.
Okay.
And he owns a vampire bar in Shreveport. He's really gorgeous, but he's very, very practical. He's had a very long life, and he is a very businesslike guy.
Okay.
So he is not really willing to forego everything to throw himself at Sookie's feet at all.
Well, there's some very interesting sex in all the books. The Vampire Queen, who was sort of big in the last book and then emerged legless or whatever it is.
She did. Poor Sophie Ann.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you've always been cruel to these people when
I
necessary.
know, I'm ruthless. I'm so mean.
But she seemed to have a thing for women.
She was bi. She liked women and she liked guys. I figure if you live that long, you might as well diversify. I mean, wouldn't you get bored? You would think you would be willing to try anything.
I think if you're that far out there, that probably the normal restrictions don't apply.
I think so too.
Whatever, taste life's full banquet, and
yeah,
move
what
along.
difference does it make if I'm going to live 100 more years?
That's true. Well, and Sookie has a cousin who Harper Hadley. Sorry, it's the Harper Hadley.
Yeah.
Sometimes the names do get confusing.
Yeah.
All right, so Hadley, what's happened to her?
Well, Hadley is dead. She has died in a pretty awful way, and that unfortunately pretty much takes place in a short story, which was a mistake of mine. I think I was kind of cheating then. But Hadley has left a legacy for Sookie. Sookie is probably the only person left in the family who will go down there and clear out her apartment, which is that takes place, I guess 2 books ago.
Right.
She's cleared out Hadley's apartment, and then she finds out Hadley's left another legacy that she didn't know about in this book.
Right. And so how does it that some of these characters are actually lose things in New Orleans during Katrina? You've got, isn't it Bob? Bob was been the cat.
Poor Bob.
Poor Bob.
Bob.
And Bob, in fact, his life, or a lot of it, was sort of destroyed by what happened.
It was, though he doesn't realize it for a long time because he gets turned into a cat. But and Amelia's apartment gets destroyed, at least part of it, her apartment building, and Octavia's home is lost.
So, a lot going on. Well, to keep these interesting, you have to have these sort of constant conflicts. And I agree with you that there's really no way that you could have a Louisiana series that just completely ignores the effects of Katrina.
I really don't see how.
No, nor do I.